Hey friends, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Fit Life Orange County. And before I introduce today's guest, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube. Even better, write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So now to introduce today's guest, which is absolutely incredible. This guest is an expert that has and continues to solve a big pain point for our audience, both men, but specifically women. And really her tagline is this: we help busy men and women struggling with embarrassing bladder issues regain control of their bladder from the comfort of their own home. Yes, this is a taboo subject. Yes, this is an embarrassing subject. However, yes, this is a real subject that requires a real solution. And friends, I'm excited to deliver that solution for you today in the form of introducing you our guest, who is a pelvic floor physical therapist, a health coach, and bladder coach expert, Miss Kathleen Kilburg. Welcome to the show.
Here is Bryce Henson and Jake Stewart, your host of the Fit Life Orange County.
Hey friends, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Fit Life Orange County. Kathleen Kilburg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I am super excited, and we were just talking offline. And for our audience, maybe who's new to the show, I've personally been in the professional health and fitness industry since 2012. And our client demographic, we have Mrs. and Mr. Jones, but a lot of women are really gravitated to our program in their 30s, 40s, 50s, even in the 60s and 70s at times, which is absolutely incredible. Our mission is to inspire fitness and change lives every day. And many of our women clients, especially after birth, have had bladder issues, but never before I've ever connected and networked with a expert coach specifically to this. So I'm going to read your tagline, Kathleen, and then really want to open it up for you to be able to color in some details. And really, you are an experienced bladder coach, and really what you do is you help busy men and women struggling with embarrassing bladder issues regain control of their bladder from their comfort of their own home. So that is an incredible tagline. That's a very interesting topic that probably not a lot of people talk about, but it's real. So we'd love your insights just to kind of open it up there and get some insights on the background and really how this all came to be.
Yeah, so thanks. So I am a pelvic floor physical therapist. I've been working in that arena for the last 19 years. And when I first started out, there were very, very, very few people, even physicians, who knew about pelvic floor physical therapy. But it's becoming a lot more known. I in the tagline you mentioned men and women, and we certainly do work with men. Typically after men have a prostate surgery, they may have some bladder issues, but their doctor will send them to pelvic floor therapy or tell them what kind of options there are. For women, we have babies either by a trauma of a vaginal delivery or a major abdominal surgery through cesarean. And then they just say, okay, go back to life and do whatever you want after this major trauma to their body. And so most of these women don't know that there are options out there to help them to not be peeing in their pants, to not be rushing to the bathroom, to not have to know where every public bathroom is in every store that they go to. So that's kind of been my mission, is to help educate women that there are options for them.
Well, that is incredible and long overdue. And I think,
Yes.
it's a problem. It's a real problem, as I articulated. But even me, being a health and fitness expert, have not came across, an expert in this space. And that's why my team and I are so excited to feature you, Kathleen, to be able to provide some education and insight and some solutions. And this is a local health and fitness show here in Orange County, California. But you are virtual. You're based out in the Midwest, where I'm from originally, which is awesome. And then you offer, additional virtual coaching, which is really, from our perspective, want to be able to provide you the platform to educate our audience and also to be able to provide them some solutions as well. But so I thank you for being on the show for that reason. I'm going to jump into really some of the symptoms that you support that I read from your bio and previous literature. And then from there, Kathleen, after I kind of read the rundown, I really would love to kind of get into the nuts and bolts and really how you coach, clients to success. So symptoms you support: stop leaking with cough, sneeze, laugh, exercise. Make it to the door without without having to run to the bathroom. Manage feelings of frequent, strong urges to urinate. Sleep through the night without getting up to pee multiple times. Empty your bladder more easily. Stop getting reoccurring bladder infections. And honestly, this is a real problem that happens so many times. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, addressing it. So my question, Kathleen, is my first one at least, is like, how do you really coach and solve this problem?
So a lot of it is education. We do a ton of behavior modification. And we don't have a cookie cutter approach. So it really depends on the client. Are they not drinking enough? Are they drinking too much? Are they drinking too many bladder irritants? So we really go into what their day looks like and what they're taking in and what their activity levels are. And so we work to do some behavior modification to make sure that you're drinking the right things properly. We actually do a ton of breathing. Everybody thinks, oh, I know how to breathe, but most of us don't. We may hold our breath while we're lifting or hold our breath while we're picking up the baby, and all those things increase your abdominal pressure, and it has to go somewhere. So it goes down and it pushes on your bladder. So we work on retraining a lot of those breathing patterns that may be dysfunctional. And then, of course, work on strengthening the core. So your core is like a box. The top of the box is your diaphragm. So that's the breathing part. The bottom of the box is the pelvic floor, which most people know about but don't know how to strengthen. The front is the transverse abdominal, and the back is the multifidus. So we work on teaching women and men how to activate those muscles together and how to activate them properly so that the pelvic floor and their bladder is supported in all of those activities that they're doing, either in exercise or in daily life. And we work, we meet weekly virtually, and, depending on what it is that we were working on last week, we discuss how it went, what kind of modifications we can make to it, and then what we move up to for the next week.
That is absolutely incredible, and I appreciate that insight. We're going to dive a little bit deeper. And also, too, you talked about coaching, which is, I have a huge fondness for. Coaching changed my life, and that's really what inspired me to be a fitness coach. So there's so much value. So I do want to kind of glean some insights from your perspective on the value of coaching. But before I do, I want to kind of dive in a little bit more about two coaching programs specifically to the topic at hand that at least I saw, in researching this interview on your website, which are, number one, self-paced programs, and then number two, the bladder after the baby program. So if you can kind of maybe high level and then give some nuts and bolts on what those two programs looks like, so that way our audience walks away with a good understanding of really what to expect.
Right. So we have two different coaching options. We have one is the one-on-one coaching, where you would meet weekly virtually with your coach, and, it's tailored to exactly what your particular issues are and what things you need help with. And then we have the self-paced program. So we have two self-paced programs right now. One of them is a better bladder, and one of them is bladder after baby. So both of those are going through some of those behavior modifications and the education component. But one is more, the bladder after baby is specifically geared towards postpartum. And that can be anywhere between that 6-week postpartum and 12 months postpartum. So anywhere in that first year, working on regaining activation of those muscles that were damaged during pregnancy and delivery. So we do work on a lot of safe activation and some of the modifications that are important in postpartum. And then the other self-paced program, the Better Bladder, is for anyone who's past that 12 months postpartum period. So, your babies can be 15 years old, and that would be a more appropriate one for you, where we don't need to do those safety things that happen after postpartum, and we can dive right into more of the strengthening program.
Got it. Okay. And those are the two foundational, main programs that you have to offer. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah. The self-paced programs or the one-on-one.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, well, shifting gears, and I certainly want to open up for more education as well, because this is such an awesome topic for our audience to really, get briefed on. But, you are a coach, obviously you're a PT by trade. How did you get into this line of coaching? And then also, too, I would love to, get from your perspective, a few bullet points, maybe 2 or 3 really big value adds of coaching that you see in the industry. I'm passionate about it, but I would love your lens as well.
Yeah, so this kind of happened during COVID. So many people discovered different ways of doing things during that lockdown period. And so I was doing some telehealth visits with my patients and kind of realized, hey, with these, women with just have these bladder issues, this telehealth stuff works really great. And, maybe there's a way to be able to reach more women everywhere. There are a lot more pelvic floor PTs now than there ever used to be, but there's still not enough of us. I myself currently have a 4-month wait list to be able to get in to see me for an evaluation. And that's living in the Chicago suburbs where there's lots of us. So there's women in areas of the state or in other states who maybe there's not a pelvic floor PT within hours of them. So it kind of developed from that of there's all these women out there who don't have access to somebody with my kind of training and my education, and we can work with them virtually and be able to help them. And so it started during COVID, but over the last 2 years, we've been branching out, and I've been adding new coaches in from other states who are also experienced pelvic floor physical therapists. We kind of have a 3 to 4 year minimum of experience as a pelvic floor PT before coming on with us. So we have 10 different states that have a pelvic floor PT in it, working with women in those states, helping increase their access. And my goal is to have a pelvic floor PT working as a health coach in every state within the next 3 to 5 years. So women everywhere have access to us.
Well, I hope this show will certainly help you on that journey, because there's a need, and I know our clientele, there's a need for this, which is really exciting.
What's up, my friend? Coach Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the owner of Mission Viejo Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that I began my journey as a fitness transformation story. You see, circuit training and nutrition coaching absolutely changed my life after being overweight with a diet of mainly fast food in my late teens. Now, upon my fitness transformation in early 2007, yes, I gained a much better physique as I was overweight and lacked lean muscle. But way more than burning fat and building lean muscle, I increased my confidence, my energy, and my vibrancy to live life. And it's for these reasons that many people join our boot camp. In fact, with our Ultimate Transformation Program, we guarantee that you will lose at least 15 pounds in 12 weeks, or your program is free until you do. Now go ahead and visit our website at missionviejofitbody.com. Now thanks, and back to the show.
So Kathleen, I guess pulling out 30,000 foot view, because we talked about your area of focus obviously being pelvic floor PT, but really from just a coaching industry perspective, what are some of the benefits? If someone's listening to this and maybe they haven't hired a coach, they haven't hired a fitness coach or a health coach or a pelvic floor physical therapist before, what are some benefits of coaching from your perspective?
So the coaching aspect was so appealing to me because you really get to work with all aspects of the client's needs. So if, they're coming to me obviously because they have bladder issues, but we can discuss everything. I'm their partner. We're working together to solve this particular issue, but it's very multifaceted. So we're going to talk about stress and, all the education that I have on stress management. And so helping them manage their stress. We're going to talk about bowel. We're going to talk about diet. You can work with the client to make their whole world better, not just focusing simply on just the bladder. And sometimes in healthcare, we get very hyper focused and you have to treat just this specific diagnosis. But when you're working with a health coach, it's everything that makes you healthy. So I really liked that I could be a partner with my clients and work on whatever it is that they need to help them be their best.
Oh, I love that. And I have a very similar story or journey and perspective on it. Coaching, as I mentioned earlier, just changed my life from a fitness perspective. it was transformational. And I would love to say that by myself, I would have been able to figure that out in terms of, getting fit and healthy and active. But I can't look you in the audience in the eye and say that I can. And that's really the power of reaching out and finding an expert who's done what you want to do, has a good handle on that, and can be able to provide you wisdom, kind of like a guide, as an example. So really, really big value there. Now, kind of transitioning back into your area of expertise and line of work, would love to, maybe a success story or two. Really, human nature is drawn to that. So would love it if you could maybe share some success. That way, our audience has proper perspective on, some of your previous client work.
Yeah, so I just finished with a client. She was a new mom. After delivery, she felt something was not quite right, felt a ton of pressure, and went to multiple different doctors. They all said, "Oh, you have a prolapse. It happens after babies. Don't worry about it." And she became really, really concerned about this pressure that she felt. She couldn't empty her bladder all the way. She was leaking. She had this new baby to take care of. And we were able to work with her first to just help calm her because she was so scared of this word prolapse. And all the doctors just said, "Oh, yep, it just happens. You just, happens after babies. Don't worry about it." And she was worried. So we were able to calm her and teach her some strategies to help protect it in that postpartum period. And then we worked on core strengthening and was able to safely reactivate her core, and she's completed the whole program and she's back working out. She does Pilates, she goes to HIIT classes, and she's not having any pressure, and she's not leaking, and she doesn't even have to think about her bladder at all. And that's a pretty common story for us.
Totally. And, I've just heard stories after story after story, like I said, in the, 10 plus years I've been doing fitness coaching, and there's a need here. And that's why, I'm so excited to share your message and be able to provide a solution to our membership. Now, Kathleen, before I transition to the lightning round, which you've been so gracious with your time, is there anything else from an education piece that really our audience, our clientele should know about bladder issues that you can really shed some light on and provide some solutions?
Yeah, just that, that little leak when you sneeze or cough, that is incontinence. So many people don't think, "Oh, I don't have incontinence. Oh, I just leak a little here and there." That's all considered incontinence. And as you get older, it's just going to get worse typically. Once you hit menopause and your tissues thin a bit, it's going to get worse. So in those younger years, between having your babies and menopause, that's the time to fix it so that once you do go through menopause, you have a good, strong core, and then you don't have to deal with it at that point.
Well, on that note, and one other follow-up question for us, certainly it happens in daily life, like you mentioned, a sneeze, but specifically in the gym space, when women always report to us when they're doing jumping jacks, that's a very common. So could you maybe even provide one piece of coaching to be able to overcome that specific scenario for a jumping jack movement?
Yeah, if you can retrain your patterns to just exhale upon impact, that can help to activate the pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor and your transverse abdominal should automatically contract when you exhale. So if you can kind of slow your jumping jack down to get that breathing pattern correct where you exhale on impact, that can help get those muscles to contract and help prevent that leak. And then as you get better with it, then you can go faster and you can jump higher.
That is gold, because that specifically, Kathleen, is like the big pain point that I've heard many times over the years. So thank you for that.
So common.
Cool. Well, you've been so gracious with your time. I still have some more. Would love to transition to the lightning round if you're up for it.
Yep.
Cool. So from a passion perspective, you can tell you're gleaning a passion. What's your biggest specific passion these days, and why?
My biggest passion is new moms, letting them know how to heal their bodies, how to restore it so they can have more babies healthfully. So that's reaching new moms is my big passion and soapbox right now.
Fantastic. Well, we have some new moms definitely on our podcast list, so this is speaking directly to them. Next up, what would be a unique value bomb? And you shared a few already, so this is extracting more education from you. But what's a unique value bomb about bladder management or bladder issues in general that most people should know but they don't for whatever reason?
Yeah, the just in case voiding. So I'm leaving to go shopping. I better go to the bathroom just in case. That's actually training your bladder to contract more often, and will increase that frequency. And so you're basically training it to contract every hour when we really shouldn't. So I really, really work with women to eliminate that just in case voiding.
Got it. Love that. Like a little bit of insurance policy there, which is fantastic. All right. Next up, say some of our audience is interested in reaching out. Two-part question. What's your contact information? Do you have a website or social media? And then even more specifically, is there an introductory offer, or how would they really get in touch or take that next step to set up a chat?
Yeah, so we are at thebladdercoach.com, and then same at the Bladder Coach on Facebook and Instagram. There's contacts on our website where you can send us an email. And then we have a 10% discount for any of our programs for your listeners. On the website, you would just enter FBBC10 to get a 10% discount.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very gracious of you. I really, really appreciate that. So, all right. What else do I have here? A couple last questions. What would your parting piece of wisdom be for, audience member who, clearly has a need? Maybe she's a new mom, experiencing some of the things that we've talked about today, who's interested in exploring your coaching program, but let's face it, it's nervous, scared, even embarrassed. And Kathleen, this happens a lot in the fitness industry as well. So really speaking to just human nature in general, what would your advice be to that person listening in today?
Yeah, my advice would be first to just follow us on Instagram, get a little bit of that education, kind of, see who we are, and then just give us a call. I mean, I'm very personable. My coaches are super personable. It's really just like a conversation with a friend, and it's very non-invasive. There's no exam that you have to go through. We just talk, and so it's very easy and very non-anxiety building.
Oh, love that. All right, my last question for you today, and I guess in the proper format. This is a health and fitness show. We're based in Southern California, Orange County specifically. Being that you offer virtual coaching, there's just a message that I want to put in front of our audience, and really, give you the opportunity as well, just to help some more of people in need. Specifically to the naming convention of the show, it's the Fit Life Orange County. And my last question for you, Kathleen, is to you, what does it mean to live a fit life?
To fit life to me means being able to move and do the things that I want with confidence. So whether that's confidence in how I look, confidence in how well I can do it, confidence that I'm not going to pee in my pants during a class, being able to do all the things that I want to do that make me feel healthy with confidence.
Awesome. I love that so much. And Kathleen, before we shoot today, I want just to take a second to acknowledge you. I want to thank you for being on the show today, but more importantly, for really doing your line of work. I'm so passionate about the coaching industry, as we've talked about. And then this specifically, I want to reiterate this. This has been such a pain point I've heard over the years. There's so many women and men, from the sounds of it, in need as well. And really just want to applaud you for taking action, being willing to discuss very, kind of taboo or embarrassing type things, but things that really need resolution and that are helping a lot of people. And again, our mission here at the Fit Life Orange County is to inspire fitness and change lives every day. And you are certainly doing that. And I really have a lot of respect for that. So I want to provide that piece of acknowledgement before we wrap today.
Well, thank you so much for highlighting this and for helping to increase awareness for women everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, my friends, I know you got a ton of value. I certainly did as a coach, and certainly this is an issue, as we mentioned, it's a real thing. So if you've gotten value, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube, write us an awesome review on iTunes, and actually two more things. Write your biggest takeaway in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, but most importantly, share this with a friend in need. You know there's someone out there who's literally feeling the same pain point, and this episode, this piece of content could literally help solve a big problem for them. So would really appreciate that in response. You're not only helping yourself, but helping others in the process. So that's really my call to action today. Kathleen, thank you so much again for being on the show. And friends, we will see you in the next episode.